I want to welcome everybody tonight to our program. This is a special program that is a celebration of the life of Herman Carr and a virtual exhibit preview for a new exhibit that we've opened about his life. So my name is Natalie Fritz. I'm the archivist and director of collections outreach and social media here for the Heritage Center. And we're going to share some stuff for tonight. We've got some special guests here from the family and friends that can share along. And I'm going to just jump to our starter screen that we always have. Welcome to our Zoom experience. This is being recorded. It will be shared later on our Facebook page for the Heritage Center and also on our YouTube channel. So it'll be available to share with others. And we'll probably add a QR code to it in the exhibit, so people can always try and pick it up later. I'm gonna keep everybody muted just to start for now, but let everybody know that if you have anything you want to jump in, especially Marcia and Clark and Mark, I see you there too. Whenever you guys want to jump in, you guys can probably remain unmuted more often than not, but anyone else is welcome to jump in whenever they want. If you want to use the chat function to share anything, you can do that. And my co-host will try to help monitor anything that comes up in the chat that we want to share. So this is very informal and laid back. We encourage people to jump in, and we will do that. So I wanted to start with this wonderful quote that was in the Magifest stuff that came to us. It says, "If you do magic, any kind of magic, don't ever quit, because you are unique in this world. You are special people. The magic you do, no matter where or when, makes you stand out among your fellows. Being a magician will make you a very special person, and it will bring you much happiness." And I thought this was a really wonderful quote to start with, because Herman Carr discovered magic at a young age, and he continued with it for the rest of his life. So, and he was a special person. So I think that this was a very fitting way to start this. And I wanted to, the next thing that I have is something very special that Marcia and Clark ran across while going through everything to bring here. And we'll talk more about how the stuff came here for the exhibit. But there's this wonderful introduction that Herman Carr would use for his shows, and we have put together a little video that I thought we'd kick off everything with that. So I'm going to go ahead and we'll mute everybody except for me, so I can share my sound so you guys can hear this wonderful. Let me make sure that I'm sharing my audio. We'll play this clip.
Welcome. It is with the utmost pleasure that I present to you for your magical entertainment one of the outstanding magicians in the nation. A man who has traveled in 18 foreign countries with the USO and who has been invited 2 different times to present his magical stage show at the White House in Washington, D.C., which was indeed one of the greatest honors ever to be bestowed on the Herman magical family. Presenting the largest, most flamboyant magical extravaganza in the Midwest, featuring truly the magician's magician and a master of 1,000,000 mysteries, I proudly present to you a man who has become a legend in his own time. Herman the Magician and Marcia and their all-new Cavalcade of Magical Mysteries Show.
That was just a little taste. We have that in the exhibit with his entire theme song, which was Richard Rodgers' Carousel, I believe, right? That he would choreograph the show to. So we have that. If people come to see the exhibit, we have a longer video that plays through the whole song that cycles through some more of the images that you guys are going to see tonight. And you'll see some of them you already saw a little bit in the video, but I thought that that would be a good way to start because that was the way that he started his shows. So it seemed fitting. And I'm very excited that you guys found that. So as I go through tonight, we've just got a few. I have a lot of slides. So these are just some pictures that we personally really loved. I especially loved the one here of Herman and Marcia with the Hindu basket, but we've got more later that focuses on each of them. But the most important thing that I wanted to let everybody know was how we got all of this material for this exhibit here at the Heritage Center. Was that the family has loaned us this amazing scrapbook, which this is the cover here, that had that Herman had collected for his entire life. Well, pretty much. Well, we figure, I mean, this stuff goes back to when he was in high school. So they brought us this, and this was something that we were able to comb through and scan and take images from to share. And we've got this great picture of when they first brought it in a couple of weeks ago. So you can get an idea of the scale of it. That's a 6-foot table there. So if you see the scrapbook open, I know Marcy said that, didn't you say he put this together later? Yeah. I mean, it wasn't something that he kept up, but he gathered the stuff.
Right. No, he did. He actually, it's amazing because as you said, Natalie, he had clips in there from, my goodness, there was a picture of his first magic room, which was his bedroom when he lived on Sherman Avenue back in when he was in junior high school. And he gathered these clips all through high school and up until when he went into the service and joined the Army. And he collected all of these from dating back from 1955, and probably the last, I would say 10 to 15 years of his life, he started compiling this all in this scrapbook, and pretty much pretty good chronological order from high school all the way up to present day. So he spent a lot of time in compiling it, which made this so easy for us to share with everyone, as well as on his own Facebook page too.
So yeah, it's pretty amazing. If you look at the size there, you can see that it's big enough that you could fit basically up to 8 by 10s on a page, and he put it together, figured out how to fit all of that information in. So it was so much fun to look through. And then I've got a picture over here of when you guys brought his magic to share with you guys, explaining how everything, what kind of tricks we had there. So I thought wanted to share just to show that, you know, we wouldn't have been able to put this together without him keeping it all and you guys bringing it to us. So so I kind of have organized the rest of these slides a little bit like we've done the exhibit, and chronologically like he has for the most part throughout the book, to show that. And we didn't start with his biography, but he was born May 29th, 1936 in Cable, Ohio, and with that Champaign County, and he was in 3rd grade at South Ward in Urbana. And he saw this magician, Benjamin Franklin. And I love this in the scrapbook because obviously he must have gone to find these pictures to include in there to show the person that was his inspiration. Yeah. And he's written by, this was the first magician I saw. I was in the 3rd grade at South Ward Elementary School at Urbana, Ohio. The year was 1948. Yep. And
that's exactly when it all started. And after Franklin the Great performed at his school, he was one of the volunteers in the audience that Ben Franklin called him up to assist him. And he was so enamored by this magician. After the show performance, he went to his teacher and said, you know, how do I learn about magic? I want to be a magician. What do I do? And his teacher said, Herman, you need to go to the library and read books on it. And that's exactly what he did. He went to the library, he started reading books about it. He had, you know, no one to really help him, no one to coach him, no one to really guide him. He just started reading about it, and every opportunity he had to see a magician perform, he would go and watch the magician and go up and talk to him and ask for advice about, you know, what's my next step, and what would you recommend? And it really snowballed from there. But that's where it all started, back in the 3rd grade.
And at that age, he really started making a lot of his own features. It's not like he went out and actually bought the things. He created them and made them from things around the house once he learned what the feature was.
That's pretty amazing. I love this picture that Marcia shared, that I don't think was in the scrapbook, but a great picture showing 10-year-old Herman. And this is where you know that he actually is born with one end, but the 2 ends was more theatrical. So I think that was his preferred stage name and name. So you'll notice throughout the exhibit that we use the 2 ends. And that this is a great picture of him, and the one on the right is him in high school. And I think that's a wonderful one. We've got a few more from showing just how long he was keeping track of all those little clippings of everything. When he first started doing performances, after he started to learn, his first official performance was in 1950, and these ones are from when he's in high school. And then I love that, the old school in the paper, they always told you exactly where everybody lived. Herman Carr of 1019 Sherman Avenue will show tricks of mystic magic during a 4-minute performance. And I love that this early he was going by Sir Clark of Springfield by his middle name.
He did.
And he's the 17-year-old nephew of Miss Alta Murphy.
Yeah.
And then other little clippings. And I love this, Herman Carr, Springfield magician, assisted by Marcia Miller. And we'll talk more about Marcia later. We got lots more about her.
Wow.
And this little clip, during the past weeks, there have been numerous parties. 2 of these were given by Marcia Miller. Her boyfriend, Herman Carr, stole the show. And both of these by hypnotizing several students. Claudia Barr, one of the victims, still doesn't know what happened while she was under his power. I think these are just wonderful. And here we got his son of Mr. and Mrs. J. Truman Carr, at 1019 Sherman, assisted by Steve Robbins. So not Marcia at that point. He's Cavalcade of Magic for the Yellow Springs Elementary PTA Carnival. So it just shows the wide variety of places, and you'll see that more later in slides, all the different places where he performed. And I love this picture of him and Marcia that you'll see that it was used in a lot of articles about them, that shows them in high school. And we've got his first magic room here in his house at Sherman, showing some of the stuff that probably Clark used, like you said, he built himself, to get things going and create his illusions.
That was his bedroom. That was his bedroom. That was his first magic room on Sherman Avenue. Yeah.
Got a few more early life things. I love this. This is a series that they used to run in the newspaper, what the teenagers are doing. And they spotlighted him, and they used that wonderful picture, 18-year-old son of Mr. and Mrs. J. Truman Carr, who performs feats of magic, and one of his assistants, Marcia Miller, preparing for a show. And he's got these all throughout the scrapbook, and they're all just wonderful little snapshots of how he did his tricks, what tricks he was doing, where he was performing, and things like this. And then over on this side, they actually had originally used the same picture, but I added, I'm hoping this is the right one. Is this a service photo?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So so he graduated from Springfield High School in 1955, and he was drafted into the Army, and he became part of the Special Services, traveled around with the USO because, he was a magician. They weren't going to let his talents go unused. So he would travel around to perform for his fellow servicemen. So I love this great one talking about that he would do, hypnotist shows for them. And there was a great story that was in another article talking about how there was one where he had hypnotized him to go through his bedtime routine, and he started stripping before he realized he needed to stop him. So great stories that show up about what things that happened at shows, and the different tricks that were done. And it's just all of this is just a wonderful snapshot of his life. After he finished in the service, he came back to Springfield, or came to Springfield. Was that his? Well, he was in Springfield
Right.
earlier.
Right.
Came back to Springfield because obviously he was at Springfield High School. Yeah.
Right.
He was in Springfield at least by junior high. I'm not sure.
Right.
Junior high, yep.
Yeah. I think it was 8th grade, actually.
We know he was performing at Roosevelt, and he was performing at Springfield High with Charlie Fox. And he could make him laugh, which was a feat, which was magic in itself. But then he joined the Springfield Police Department, and if you guys can, I'll let you guys try and pick them out in the pictures here. Yeah. This one's at the west end of our building.
It sure is.
Yeah.
And in fact, that's what we were just looking at. I know it's a little dark on the picture, but I believe it's in the second row, the second from the left. Is that right?
Yeah. That's why I thought it was this one here.
I think it's this one.
It is.
It's the first one.
Yeah,
it's harder.
He's the first one in the second row. Correct.
Yeah. And then this one over here.
Yeah.
This must be at Cliff Park. It looks like you can see the cliffs in the background, and he's in the front row there.
Yeah. Right.
Look at those hats.
Yeah, that's a fantastic picture. They look like they're all detectives.
Yeah. 1961.
Yep, 61
was when that was.
It's when he joined the police force.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's both of those are great photos. And then some other ones that you shared there. He had a separate photo album that had some of his police. So his life as Officer Carr. So we see his picture here in uniform. And I believe you said that this was when he was Nixon's
whistle stop.
Stop came through Springfield.
Campaign.
And that's him on the left too, Natalie, with the rifle. He's the one holding the rifle there. Yeah, that one's Herman as well. Yeah. Nixon's whistle stop visit through town.
It's a great picture. And then then in the next slides, we get into the one of the longest lasting things that he was involved in as a police officer. He eventually, I think about a few years in, late 60s, at 68, he had joined the community relations department. And that was where he helped to start Safety City, which sent through, about 1,000 kids every summer while he was in it, and still sends kids through today. So it's still a great thing. Both of my kids went through Safety City, and they had this own little town. So I loved these pictures that he had a separate Safety City in that album as well. So Safety City started in 68, and he was involved with it until he retired in 88. And this is a great picture showing him painting one of the buildings that was used in the little city where they could, drive around and practice their stop signs and their safety on the road.
Yeah, what a lot of people don't know is when Safety City first started, Herman actually made a lot of those buildings himself in the basement of his house on Woodward. And I think that upper right photo is actually some of the originals that he made and painted. And then later he got participation from some of the high schools that helped with the buildings, but the original ones he built himself.
Get it started. And Natalie, the thing many people don't realize, when Safety City started, if the city was set up outside in the bottom left-hand picture, it was set up, and he had high school kids, and we helped as well, that would take and set the city up and tear it down Monday through Friday, the buildings, the stop signs, the cars, and all of that. And one summer, by accident, there was a conflict with the city community pool program, where the pool program goes around and teaches kids how to swim, which is a wonderful program. And they so happened to overlap one of the weeks that we were at Safety City. So he had the idea, you know what, we can set this up in the gym. And once that occurred, from the next summer on, we did everything inside, because you eliminated having to set the city up every day. You had we had the masking tape to peel up at the end of the time when he went to the next school. But other than that, it just by accident saved a lot of time and still getting the same effect. And we didn't have to worry about the weather that day either. So that's how that occurred.
Well, and I know that was one of my kids' favorite parts there. And they had that set up. They did it at, I think they just now have it at one school. They both had done it at Roosevelt, I think, or Simon Kenton, up there by the high school now.
Yeah.
But it was in the gym, and they absolutely loved that part. the whole week. So it's still a thing that, you know, kids enjoy, and we've got more pictures here of him with classes, and I think you guys are in here too.
Yeah, I think I see Mark.
Yeah.
Our brother Mark is in the bottom left picture, and the upper left picture is Clark and Mark. Yeah, and actually, I'm in the center. How about that? All of us are.
My goodness.
Yeah.
Family.
It was
All of us, Natalie.
And we've got, these ones are in the exhibit, and I love this one here. It's got the Safety City sign that we have on display too. So we've got that and you can see that in this picture down here. So, and then, so he retired from the police department in 1988, and Marcia also shared online, and she shared with us this wonderful video of his retirement from, I think it was News Channel 7 or one of those that had shared it. So I'm gonna make sure
Bruce
my
Asbury.
Yeah.
sound is still sharing. I'll share this one with you.
Meeting at the Dayton International Airport, send it to a postcard, send it on a postcard to us with your name and address and all that. You could win a top-of-the-line lawnmower, okay? Do that within the next 10 days or so. For now, that's a look at the weather.
Thank you, Bruce. A Springfield police officer has vanished from the department, but his disappearance can be easily explained. You see, he retired Friday. Springfield Bureau Chief Linda Robertson reports he's got some tricks up his sleeve for his time off.
Hermann Carr has been coming to work at the Springfield Safety Building for 27 years. It's no secret that he enjoyed his job. He devoted most of it to teaching preschool children the lessons in safety. But now that this career is coming to an end, it will transform into another as if it were magic. Literally, because Carr will spend his retirement as a full-time magician.
I said, now you can trust me, you know this isn't going to hurt at all.
During his years on the force, Carr learned the tricks of the trade and performed at schools and festivals. His wife, Marcia, works as his assistant, and a pretty devoted one at that, considering what she has to put up with.
Now, just for your own protection, what I'm going to do, Marcia, I'm going to blindfold you, because I certainly wouldn't want you to be in this position and all of a sudden hear something go thump and look down and see your head rolling across the floor. Hold your head still. There we go. Right up there. There we go. Don't yell too loud.
Carr built a studio in his garage where he keeps all the tools of his craft and practices his routines. It's something he's been doing since he was in the 3rd grade.
And I just started reading books in the library and picking little things up there, and whenever I had the opportunity of seeing a magician, I would talk to him about it, and they would show me a few of the little tricks, you know, and just kind of kept snowballing through the years.
Carr will be performing at over 300 schools and festivals just this year, so if his friends thought they'd see more of him now that he's retired, well, they may end up feeling like he's vanished from the face of the earth. In Springfield, Linda Robertson, News Center 7.
Carr has also been hired to do a 3-week stint aboard a cruise ship this summer.
Oops. That's a great video. I really love that. I meant to ask more about that cruise ship. Did he ever do more than one cruise ship stint like that? That sounds like a...
Well, I know one thing, we weren't invited when he did.
That's a shame. That would have been an experience, I'm sure.
Yes, it would have.
We've got, so this is after his retirement. We've got another great quote I thought was fit. To the audience, magic is an illusion. To the magician, magic is reality. And I know from talking to you guys that, of course he loved his career as a police officer, but his real love was for magic and doing it for others. So that was his reality was the magic world. And I believe, I don't know if this is the brochure that we have that is available, but this is one of their brochures. Well, it wouldn't be the up-to-date one because this was only over 25 years and they did long, but we've got a brochure, one of their brochures that you can pick up if you come to the exhibit that he had. So I wanted to show one of the ones that he had here that was in the scrapbook. And then of course, in the exhibit, we have a panel to talk about Marcia. Marcia Miller, who became Marcia Carr. They were introduced by a friend in high school. And I think it sounded like she became his assistant first, but they weren't dating yet. There was one of the articles that said that he didn't share how the tricks all worked because they weren't boyfriend and girlfriend. So maybe he's waited until they were official before he could share any of the tricks of the trade with her. But she was always a loyal and loving assistant, and lovely assistant throughout his entire career. And I love these pictures. There's so many pictures of them together throughout the scrapbook from all different eras, and it's really great to see them change and see all the different tricks and everything. So these were just some of the ones that we had. I love this one here that this is the traveling magic. We talked about where she would have the table around and they could go do table magic at a larger party or something like that for smaller groups.
They did a lot of, well, that was when they would do table hopping. I know a lot of times at like Wright Pat Air Force Base, they would, as well as various restaurants, Rack's Roast Beef and some of the different restaurants, they would do the table hopping. And that's one of the photos from that.
And I remember them saying, though, that was one of the most difficult venues because you're surrounded by people and you're doing the moving and traveling.
Right.
And to keep everybody engaged, he actually had this thing built.
Yeah.
Mom hated it around her neck.
It was hard on her back and the weight of it.
It really was. Yeah. But he had it built exclusively for this, so they could put exactly what he wanted in it and then go around, and then it would have to be something he could do again without a lot of reset time for the next group that he'd come into contact with. So that was a unique adventure, I think, for both Mom and Dad, trying to tackle something like that as a new venue.
Yeah. I love this one here. Well, the ones of them with the birds here. You said that they actually did have, he had his own birds that he kept. So these are lots and lots of those, and I just love all the different, you can see the eras change through your mom, but it seems like your dad didn't really age.
Yeah,
at all. I mean, he always had the same exact look, but she's got the different hairstyles
and Natalie, with the birds, you laugh at that, but he kept birds there, I mean, for as long as we can remember, whether it was on East Mile or Stratford or Woodward, he had birds. And I think did he name the first two birds over, I think, some old girlfriends. Yeah. It wasn't Diane and Gertrude, I believe. And actually, in some of the later years, we helped him take care of them in the later years. And actually, the trick you see my mom holding in the top left picture up there, you will see that at the museum, one of his favorite productions. So he loved using live animals because the audience loved it. The kids loved it. And of course, every time he produces the birds, he would say, do a couple magic tricks. He would always make them play dead. And the way he would hold them upside down, he could open his hand up, and with their wings like that, they were literally laying upside down. Could never get them to close their eyes. Mm-hmm. But then the other thing, he'd have them walk up steps with his fingers, and they would just go up a series of steps, and the kids thought that was the greatest. Mm-hmm. But he loved using live animals, and I'm sure there's a few in here of rabbits, but his favorite rabbit, or the rabbit, was Seymour, and he loved that as well.
Well, I say that another one, I love all these, he like to cut off her head or other body parts, but they still stayed together all those years. So I love that. These are some of my favorites. I love this one here.
Yeah, those are. And as you know, just on that clip alone, Natalie, if you look, and this is one thing Mark, Marcia, and I, we've all talked about, if you didn't know what Dad was doing, all you had to do was look at his face. And as Dad taught us, your body language, your facial expressions, they tell the entire story. And in every one of these, it's such a unique, distinct facial expression that you can almost see what he's thinking. I mean, very, very expressive.
Yeah, and all of his photos are so expressive. I mean, we were talking about some as we were setting up the exhibit today, that you can hear him, you can on stage in the picture. So it's really, really amazing. And
Dad looks pretty happy in all those pictures. I'm not so sure about Mom, but Dad always had a good time of it.
Well, and we also talk about that this was a full family affair. They got married in December 1955, and they had you 3 kids, and you guys, had no choice but to be part of the act and to get into magic yourself. So Mark, I have to say, we went through a lot of that scrapbook and did not realize right away that you were Mark O. the Clown until
who told you that?
About that? You want to talk about that, Marco?
We figured it out ourselves, but I noticed that they didn't mention it.
Somebody deducted that.
Yeah, we went through and we realized, oh, that's got to be him. So you're the whole family is represented in the book, and you guys were all. And I love, there's articles where they talk about the whole family will be there, and throughout the years they show your varying ages. And the articles talk about how you guys could use it to supplement money for college. So that seems like a pretty good gig to me to be able to do that. But great, we've got Marcia here with, I love this adorable picture, the levitation, and then we've got a rabbit up here with you guys, a family photo. Okay, this is Seymour.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Well, I don't have a photo in the corner. How many Seymours did Herman have?
Dozens.
Well, one of them is buried in my backyard that he gave to my son at a show in Rikes in the Upper Valley Mall.
Oh my gosh.
Goodness. Back.
My name is Carl Miller. I am first cousin to Marcia. And we went up there to see Herman when Stephen was about 7 or 8 years old, somewhere in that range. And after the show was over, Steve was petting a rabbit, and I tried to give the rabbit back to Herman. And he says, no. He says, there's no way a magician would take that rabbit away from that child. Well, we wasn't prepared for that. So we put the rabbit in a shopping bag, and the rabbit got frightened. He urinated, the bottom fell out of the shopping bag, and we're chasing this critter all over the store. We finally got him in a plastic shopping bag, and when we brought him home, we went to the next door neighbors with a coffee cup. Can we borrow a cup of rabbit food until we get to the store?
Oh my gosh. Well, there's a lot of stories like that. And I mean, when kids' eyes would light up when asked about the rabbit. Now, typically, Dad would get parental permission first to make sure it was okay. And then, let the mom or dad be the bad guy there if they said no. But one thing about rabbits, or most of you probably know, boy, those cute little bunnies grow up awful fast. They really do. I speak from experience with the ones we used to have.
Well, I think my basset hound had a Freudian complex because the dog and the rabbit would run free in the backyard, and the dog knew better than to attack the rabbit. He had to have a Freudian complex.
Oh my gosh, that's so good.
Pretty funny.
Great. I wonder how many Seymours there were out there. They got disseminated to people's houses. That's great.
Lots.
That's really great. Well, I've got another one. This is one at your guys' house, right? This is Woodward.
Stratford.
That's on Stratford.
Oh, this is Stratford. Other house. Yeah, okay. This is Magic Week, which is happening right now. Magic Week is the last week of October, and it's in honor of Harry Houdini, who died on Halloween in 1926. So Magic Week is celebrated the last week of October, and Herman would always kick it off with a show at your guys' house. We've got pictures of him in the backyard. This is in the front yard on the sidewalk. I know he would do some in the basement. And this is you, I think, Marcia, on the table there.
Yes, it is.
And getting other kids into magic by bringing it to them, and then for the rest of Magic Week, he would travel around to different schools in the area to do shows. So this is a great one he had in a frame that was in his magic room that we just put the frame in there on display there, the way he had it. But this was 1974 Magic Week, and then the scrapbook shows that he was great at advertising for himself to get jobs like that. And he talks about how kids themselves were great word of mouth advertising to bring him to things. But he's got this is one. I have an all new and different show for you. Just give a call. Magically yours, Herman. A production of the HT&M Magic Studios. I was trying to figure out what the HT&M were.
Magician and Marcia,
Yeah.
Magician and
So
Marcia.
this is a great one, and then we've got this is going back. I love this. That good hand. You have just seen Herman and his cavalcade of magic. This show is a very small portion. If you would like him for your club or social group, so he could pass this out to people at shows to book more shows. And this one is from high school, that he had these kind of templates that he could plug in the dates and times for his upcoming shows, and got his great high school picture there. So he was good at marketing himself. And then this was something that I saw going through his magic studio, which you'll see more of in the pictures later. But he had his booking information where he could keep track of upcoming shows and his contracts. This is from when he was living on Woodward. But all of this stuff was throughout the scrapbook as well. And this one,
Natalie, if I can add, if just like back on that, I believe that was a contract, and I think you even saw it. Everything was done, even in the later years, on that portable typewriter. Everything, every letter that he would send out to schools, it was customized and typed to that specific principal. And everything, when we tried to create some things on the computer to help him, but that typewriter was the way to go, and he still has it out there in place in the magic room.
I see Mark Wood's got something down there. You can unmute. Can you unmute? We can't hear you. Oh, Mark still can't hear you. I don't know if other people can hear you.
No. Hey, Mark.
Oh, he's sharing something. Looks like a performance. I can try to read it. Looks like a you maybe you can type it into the chat and we'll pick it up what you're trying to share. I don't know why we can't get your sound, but
and Mark Wood, he is a magician, Natalie.
Yeah, he was one of a partner or a fellow magician from the Magi Fest that Herman met and really they had a great relationship.
He seemed like Dad picked on Mark
Oh,
an
yeah.
awful lot, and they would go back and forth.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure Mark is nodding, but absolutely booking sheets.
Oh,
that
He said he used the same kind of booking sheets that Herman did. That's what he's showing us. Thank you, Mark.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
Mark,
awesome.
And
Mark was one of the red coats. He was one of the red coats of the Magic Festival.
That's awesome.
we've got some
Look at that.
sorry if TG, I muted you if you were trying to talk. You can unmute yourself if you need to. Oh, Mark said he never got to be a red coat. But I say, well, I want to hear more from some of the other magicians that I know are on this call later, specifically. Some other things that he had in the book were, this is, what he could send out to a principal, please look over and wish to engage my show at your school this coming or next year. So he could send this out to the schools. If you wish to call the Chamber of Commerce in Springfield, please do. I'm sure they'll give you a good report of my show. And then he's got lots and lots of business cards. I just grabbed a few of them. This is he had them numbered, you'll see. This is his first one, is Sir Clark on Sherman Avenue. This is his 7th one over here at Stratford Place. Truly the magician's magician. And then we've got a great one here with a picture of him and Marcia, and then a much later one when they're on East Mile. And there was a ton of his business cards from over the years throughout the scrapbook. And then he's got great flyer here, fun-filled entertainment for shows, meetings, banquets, parties. And then lots and lots of clippings and ads for different performances that he would do all over the place, here in Clark County and Springfield and in other places. I like this one from Hart's Family Center. Says, 1 rabbit will be given away free at each performance. So there's some Seymours going right there. Oh, I think Mark got his sound on, but it's kind of scratchy. I muted you for right now, Mark. We'll figure the sound out. So we got this great ad here from one of his shows. And then different clippings throughout, showing all the different variety of things he played at. He was at festivals, the South Charleston Petunia Festival in 1973, which they don't have the Petunia Festival anymore. They do have other South Charleston festivals. Here he is playing at the Perrin Woods Community School Ice Skating Fun event at Perrin Woods School. He played at lots of garden shows at the fairgrounds and things like that. And I like this one because it's got Smilin' Bob was also going to be at the Food and Garden Show. And we've got him at the Warder Public Library. And we've got, he was going to be at Breakfast with Santa at Wren's with Smilin' Bob. $1.50 for the tickets. Tremont City Fire Department Fun Fest. You could see his Houdini packing box escape, which we have on a later one. You could go see the box before that on display at Hills, which I really loved that part. Here's the St. Joseph's Summer Festival. Fried chicken dinner and free entertainment with Herman the Magician. And then he played out at the Upper Valley Mall a lot. So we've got clippings from there. See Herman saw through his assistant with an electric saw.
Yep.
And then we've got they were always out at the county fair. So the Lions Park stage. Wasn't sure which stage that was. I don't know if that's still a stage out there. And then here they're Junior Service League out at a Food and Garden Show at the fairgrounds. We got some of one of his bird tricks there. Oh, I think I used the same picture on this one too, but we've also got the Children's Home residents. He performed at the county Children's Home for their Christmas party or Thanksgiving, whichever one. He would perform at local hospitals to cheer up children. I love these pictures here. And this is, he hadn't retired yet. So Monday is Springfield policeman Hermann Carr and his wife Marcia performed feats of magic as a Christmas treat for children in the pediatrics ward at Mercy.
Yeah, oh, go ahead.
God, I was just going to say, I mean, he had a special place in his heart when it came to whether it was sick kids, underprivileged kids. He would donate his time just because with the time of the season that it was, he just tried to make a difference in their lives. And that meant so much to him.
And these pictures here are pictures actually from, these were the one on the right in particular with the little girl was a Christmas Eve photo. And these were kids that were not able to go home for Christmas. And he went to the hospital and performed for them, knowing that they were going to be in the hospital over the Christmas holiday.
That's really great. We've got some more. He would perform at the county home and nursing homes, local nursing homes as well. So these are some great later pictures, I think, too. And then he did holiday shows. I love the Halloween. Right now we have our lobby set up for Halloween show, and he would do the free show. And this one here, the charge per the performance was a tin of canned food that collected to be distributed during the Christmas season. Another thing he would do was a broken here. This one's a broken toy that could be repaired and given out at Christmas. So he's got some, holiday themed props and tricks that he could adapt to the season and the audience and the show. We talked about that, that he made sure that all of his shows were adapted for the audience that, he knew would be there. And I know you guys talked to me about that, making sure, he knew what kind of space he had, who he was performing for, all of that information so that he could tailor it for them.
And every show was tailored to the audience, and just like on that picture and what you've set up at the Historical Society with the Halloween theme is so appropriate with a few other things, the floating skulls, the vampire box. It's really, and actually the tablecloth there is the one that he has had for years that he used during Halloween season, the exact one.
Yeah, and we've got a Christmas one that we'll put out there when we get into the Christmas season, because the exhibit will still be up through. We're hoping, holiday in the city time, people will be able to come in and check it out when they come downtown. But you've got these great ads in the paper here. Call now for Christmas entertainment. And he was going to be performing with his lovely wife Marcia at Wren's and at Wren's Toyland. And then some other neat shows that were featured in the scrapbook. The Kitty's New Year's Eve matinee party. Unfortunately, there's not dates by a lot of things, but he still did do chronological order and a lot of stuff, so you could figure out some of it, at least the era of things. But I love this, the Regent Theater on stage in person, Herman the Magician, but they were showing Houdini on the screen. So it was a good little event that they had here at the Regent. And then just some more great stage that showed his stage presence. This is the one that we said we could just hear him in this one up here. I thought that one was really great, and showed he was just performed everywhere. He's at a church, and I'm not sure where that is, and then this is a backyard birthday party. I love this one especially. Well, this one is the clothing, everything about this one I just love. But I love this, that you can see his sign, and you said that he made that sign himself, and it was one of his originals. And we've got that hanging in the exhibit above the stage. And that's a really wonderful sign.
He made that. And it was in high school. It was in high school, Natalie. That's when he had that made. He made that.
That's so impressive. It still works, but we probably won't leave it lit. We can plug it in for people to see, but I don't want to burn down everything possibly. So I don't think we'll leave it lit for long periods of time, but we'll see. We'll make sure people can see it. But we got this great one here. You can see, I don't think that the one we have is an older one, but it doesn't look quite like the bunnies that are down here, the trick. So
It might be though. I'm trying to think. Now, you see that table base that you're pointing to, that rabbit. Those were some of the very old ones, and I don't think he has those any longer. On that bottom right picture, you can see the rabbit holding up the table base. Those are ones I remember he actually had, I believe, on woodwork, Marsh. They're very, very old, and the backdrop that he had as well. Though that's going back.
And I know you told me that he drew a lot of the stuff himself, sketches of, there was rabbits that I saw at the house. And did he do the one that you guys had for the signs for the magic studio, or did he have?
I believe, to be real honest with you, he had Ed and Ed's sign shop do a lot of his signs. And in fact, I think you even got some comments online. A relative of Ed's, if I'm not mistaken, his daughter. Dad, when he needed creative signs that required some artistic ability, he would use them, and that was a local company here in Springfield.
He had a lot of the visions, but I think Ed was the one that brought a lot.
That's great. And I saw Mark just held up a rabbit table that if you can see him in the gallery view that he has. And I love that just some other things like this. There was some emails from you guys in there, and I like this this is, I think, sent to you, Clark. Possibly.
My goodness.
But somebody was passing along a 1964 birthday party for Paul's 5th birthday, and I love that he had that in there as well. I thought that was great, showing that he did those birthday parties too.
I think that was Paul Montgomery. We're going way back, but Paul Montgomery, who I went to school with. Wow.
So that's a really neat one.
That is a great picture.
And then he performed at schools, obviously, all of the area schools. This is one's from 2007. You can see him out. And I love this. We have the bucket on display in the exhibit that you told me the story of him asking them to pay for the performance and producing the quarter from behind their ear. And of course they all wanted to have a quarter to throw in. So this is a great school one here. And then another, it looks like I'm not sure where but it looked like he was setting up the school. You can see the rabbit table there here, and he's got his.
I think that's at Springfield High School, because behind him's the photo. That was on stage, I believe, at Springfield High School.
That's right.
And I love that this is from a it looks like one of the school newsletters for Warder Park. Magician show on March 18th. The Philathea class are sponsoring a magician show. Tickets are on sale now. The magician will be Herman Carr, whom you have seen do some of his small acts. Plan to see his entire show.
Wow. And that table, Natalie, on the middle there, when I was telling you that those rabbit tables were so old, that Cavalcade a Magic table there that he's getting behind, that is the one that's on display as well at the museum.
That's awesome. And he built he built that one himself. I think.
Yeah, one of the originals.
Yeah, I think so.
That's pretty great. And I love this one up here, turning the kid into a bunny.
Yeah.
I love that.
That was always a cute trick. He'd always build it up, how many of you want to be turned into a bunny? And the little kids would go crazy, and he would get one up and he would turn him into a bunny.
That's fantastic. Let's see. Oh, and I love this. This is one of my favorite. I love this. So adorable. A little thank you book from, I wish we couldn't figure out right away what school this was from, but it was Mrs. Kuhn's kindergarten class in 2001. So those kids would be about in their mid to late 20s right now. But I just love that they drew their favorite tricks, and I just thought that was the cutest thing. I liked the part where I won the certificate, and I liked the part where Alicia was floating in the air. We've got a couple more that we've got in the exhibit from this one, but I just thought it was the cutest thing. Let's see.
Yeah, there's like 30.
And then they performed at, you know, the place to perform, the White House in 1979 for Jimmy and Rosalind Carter. And they took the whole family, and here we got on the plane and a family photo here.
And Marco the Clown.
And Marco the
bottom
Clown.
right picture.
Oh, man.
I think that's when we realized that it was you. When we saw that it was in the family photo.
Yeah, it's unmistakably me. Yeah, unmistakably.
That's great.
Mm.
So that was was that for the Easter egg roll then?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I was the one taking the picture, I believe. So that's why I wasn't in that bottom one.
Oh. Oh shoot! There's one where you were in a different one too. I should have put that one in there.
Yeah. I'm on the plane though. Yeah.
Well, I say in this one we've got some stuff about MagiFest, and I saw that Mark said that he his brother and I used to compete in the contest show that he had emceed at MagiFest.
Yes.
So this
That
is
was
our,
the
you know,
talent
he was on the board of for MagiFest, and that was every year in Columbus. And I wanted to ask if that had picked back up, because I did see the letter in the scrapbook of when they ended it around 2013, but I wasn't sure if it picked up again after that and was
And
held.
you know, Mark Wood might even be able to comment on that more, but I can tell you the original Magi Fest as it was presented is no longer, but they do a Magi Fest. To our understanding, and again, Mark can share some more comment on this, I believe it's a smaller version of it, with a lot of focus on close-up magic and, you know, card magic versus the stage magic and talent competition. But they do have something similar to that, but to my understanding, it's not to the scale that it was when it originally started many years ago.
This is the flyer from the 2009 one, and a picture of him and Marcia there. And then this is showing him on stage during one of the competition shows.
Say that, and that's true. That was the final one. But the picture on the right, that 2009, that was a special show for Mom and Dad. They performed, I believe it was the headliner show.
It was.
But that was Dad and Mom's last big hurrah at the Magi Fest. And what Dad attempted to do, and he did, every feat of magic, he had magic that had never, ever been performed before at the Magi Fest. They were all completely new illusions and very creative, and a lot of compliments on it. But that was kind of his final hurrah at the Magi Fest. It really was.
Well, I say we have one of his red jackets that's on display on one of the in the exhibit, and we've got a couple of posters that we have out in the lobby. These are the words escaping me, not the final posters, the mock-ups for a couple of the MagiFest years that we've got out there. And I know, Marcia, you had said that he didn't really compete much. He didn't feel the need to do it, but when he did, clearly he really was a fantastic magician. He won the International Battle of Magicians, World's Greatest Magician Award in 2002. So
yeah, that was something I stumbled across, that I vaguely remember that he did participate in a magic contest that, I've really not known him to do at all. And he did apparently in 2002, and he won that ribbon. But,
some of his big stunts that he was known for, driving blindfolded. I bet you, Roger Baker could probably tell you about this. He's one of the guys in the car here. This was when they did the when the city building was being dedicated in 1979. That was part of the weekend festivities around Memorial Day weekend, that he drove Mayor Roger Baker and former Mayor Bob Burton and a few other people around in the car. They trusted him and he got him around. He got him around safely. But there's more pictures showing, just how, he had the tape, the eyes taped, and then, the bag over his head. There was all the different things to make sure that you couldn't see. They were very
Natalie,
brave.
the one story I want to just mention about that, it's really unique because what I remember as being much younger, when Dad was telling us about this, he had to get a hold of his insurance agent, and I'll never forget this. And the Dad wanted to make sure, obviously, he was covered should anything occur doing what Dad was doing. And I can remember Dad telling us, talking to us, and saying, he kept asking me, well, how are you going to do it, Herman? Are you going to be okay? And Dad would always say, I'm not sure how I'm going to do it. I'll figure it out, but don't worry about it. And Dad's question was, well, am I covered? And he goes, yeah, Herman, we'll go with what you're saying. You are covered. But it was the funniest story because obviously, if you would try something this crazy, under normal circumstances, you probably would not be covered under a normal policy. So that conversation went a long way.
As in he did that more than once too, so that's pretty amazing. I love that. Another one of his was to predict the headline like 2 weeks in advance. So this one here in particular, he was predicting the headline on, I think, January 29th for February 15th in 1969, and he predicted. So he had these two people verify his prediction. They put it in the box. They had it locked. They had that on display, and then they opened it to show that it hadn't been tampered with. I mean, it's amazing. And the headline that he predicted was "Deadly Military Toxins Production Banned by the President," and the actual headline was "President Bans Production of Deadly Military Toxins." So how did he do that? That's one of his amazing big tricks, and I'm completely amazed by the levitation ones, the floating lady, and this is one done in the backyard here.
Yeah, Natalie, that goes back onto Woodward Avenue. When we lived at 1802 Woodward, and in fact, I think one of the other folks on here lived on Woodward down the street from us. I believe Tim Rowell was on here, and he performed this in the backyard. And I know we moved from Woodward. It had to be in 1967. I was 8 years old, but that person is actually my mom's sister or my Aunt Linda, who he used during that time. And there are neighbor kids. I know there's the Bostics. The Bostics were across the street, and that I believe is Charlene, who babysat, who lived beside us. And that's the garage next door to us. But yeah, he would do that in the actual backyard in front of the neighbor kids.
That's amazing. But there's a comment in the chat from TG Tadini said that he was the ultimate Magifest redcoat and ambassador of goodwill. Such a cool guy. Just wanted to share that comment. Some more big tricks is the locked box, and they would display that ahead of time so you could go see and check out the box and see it was in fact a real box before you would do the trick. So here we've got Mayor Bob Burton at the time, and they were displaying this one at Memorial Hall, and this one they were, I can't see where they were, Mercy Medical Center. They had it there, and then this one is at Citizens Bank in DeGraff for the DeGraff Gourd Festival, and you can see him in the box there. I love that. So that was one of his escape tricks that he would do. And another big escape trick that he did was at the YMCA pool, that he would be shackled, thrown into a bag, and then thrown into the pool, and he'd have to get out. And this one was very vital that he escaped because he was supposed to be teaching him an 8-week magic class after this. So that was one of their hobby classes that they offered at the Y that he taught. So I wonder if there's people around that learned from him.
Right.
So, let's see. And then there's lots of different articles from different places. This is from the Champaign County paper. And these are great ways. I mean, this is, you know, lots of good biographical stories in here that he's got throughout. Some stories from our paper. I saw the Plain Dealer, where I'm from, Northeast Ohio, recognized those ones. So he had stuff, papers all over the place that were covering him. And then he had, this was one of the things that was in there, was a brochure that he put out, magic tricks you can do, that he compiled it. So explain how to do the tricks. And we've got the front and back of that there, that he,
That's right.
to try and pass it along to others. And then if you, and you know, I wonder how many magicians' assistants he inspired to become magicians. This was one of the, he had a few of the certificates you got in there if you helped him out. You got your assistant certificate. And then we've got the his magic room here, I think.
Yeah, the one on the left, the black and white on the left, is on Stratford. It was like a sunroom that he converted into his magic room. That one was from Stratford shot, and the others are all on Eastmont. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is,
Go
I
ahead.
say, yeah. Oh, no, you go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say it's funny because, you know, you got to see his magic room, but what we learned, and even growing up, I mean, no one was allowed in his magic room. And I even know some neighbors who would babysit us, and they would always remind us, I know I'm not allowed to go out in the magic room. I won't be going out there. But he just kept it in just under lock and key, that was his thing. And since Dad passed over a couple of years ago, we've kind of kept his magic room almost as a shrine with, I mean, there are notes, late notes that he wrote that are still in the wastebasket there that we just couldn't throw out. And I know when we used some of the magic for the funeral, I could feel like when we put the magic back in his room, I didn't put it back quite the way he wanted it, but we did the best we could do. He had his own way, his own system, and it was his way, but it was a very special place that he spent an awful lot of time out there enjoying what he did. And it gave my mom a break too. But
that's so special that you guys are sharing it with everyone this way too. I mean, I know that you guys won't be able to get it back the same, but it's so, you know, appreciated that you are able to share it this way. And you can see, you know, this is from about the different angle, but this part in this picture that I took looks just about the same as it did in this older picture here. But this kind of gives you a good look into the room, that shows you just how packed to the gills it was with magic. And you can see the typewriter there that you talked about that he used. We've got some more pictures of it that I want, you know, this is coming through the door here. Oops, jumped ahead. And you can see just shelf after shelf after shelf of all of his illusions. And he had, Marcia showed an inventory, you know, he kept inventory of everything he needed for everything and what tricks he had, and it was all very well organized. And
Natalie, when you said that, his inventory, as you saw, you know, it was basically a notebook. And what he did, he would keep track out there of what shows, of what tricks he used for every show, so he would not repeat And he had many repeat engagements, and he always made sure he always presented an entirely different magic show. So no one could say, you know what, we saw that before. It was always something new.
And I think I've got my next picture. There's some of his cards. I spanned them out so you could see where he performed and how long he performed and what tricks that he did, so he could keep track of that. And just some more shots of, you can see some of the illusions in a particular shelf. And back on this one, this was some of his patches that were on the wall in his magic den. But along the back wall behind the car were all sorts of posters of classic magicians and that he had there that I thought was very neat. Shows that, you know, he valued the classic traditional magicians. That's what he was modeled himself after.
And Natalie, real quick, go back on those cards. I just want to point, if you look at the top right-hand corner of those cards, he would list on there the length of show that was, like 45 minutes, and the date and what he actually did, whether it was kids. Yeah, you can see the kids, but he was his own system, even though you couldn't read his writing very well. Oh, and he's a lefty. He's a left-hander, for those that would like to know. But he always said, don't crack on my writing. But he could read it. He goes, that's all that matters. But you can see on there how he wrote and kept detail of every show he did.
Yeah, it was really great. And I mean, just how you could see how organized he was looking around the room. This was the pumpkin that Sydney did in his honor for we were doing local history pumpkins, and we had to do the floating lady pumpkin for him. We've got that one down by the exhibit as well. And now I wanted to show you some pictures of the exhibit. His next performance will be at noon. We've got some pictures, just a sneak peek of what you can see in the exhibit, which will be up through the end of the year. Love this sign here that he would use for his shows. But this is a look down the hallway. We've got a few different stages set up just so it looks like he's just about to do a trick. We've got some of his tuxedos on mannequins there, and special thanks to Ambiance for helping make it as theatrical as it could be, very stage worthy. They brought in the stage drapery so that we could make it look really great. So we've got a few pictures here, and then along the panels you can see pictures and text and some of the other illusions in cases as well. Some other little areas set up like it's ready for a show.
That's his red coat.
And there's his red coat.
From the Magi Fest.
Yes. And we've got some of his big tricks over here, the Hindu basket. And he had lots of different tables and for different setups, lots of coats. You guys just lent a handful, but I saw, there's lots more and then some of the cases we have set up to show some of the tricks and talk about, performing for schools and children and using magic to make lessons memorable in at Safety City. And then here at the end, you guys have the mock-up sign for Hermann Carr Way, which is going to be dedicated on Friday morning at 10 o'clock. That's a portion of West McCray. It's going to be duly named for him. You get his original police badge here, and if you were behind him, you knew you were behind a magician. So you see, and one of the things we talked back in this case, that just how he was always ready to share the magic with anybody if you ran into him in town, and or if kids would see him, they would recognize him and ask him to do tricks, and he was ready to do tricks when he saw people. So it was always magical if you would see him. some more stuff in the lobby. We've got a couple more stages set up with some of the MagiFest posters and some illusions. Marcia here on for the rope trick.
Yeah, that was an escape they did, and I believe he did that a lot of the prisons that he actually entertained, where they would basically put mom up against that backdrop, then he would insert the ropes and tie her up on through the board, and with a cloak over her, see if she could escape from it. And the funny thing, during the prison shows, the prisoners were very, very protective of her. Believe it or not, when they were asked to help tie her in and tie her up with the ropes, they were like, okay, well, we're scared. We don't want to hurt her. And he would say, make those knots tight. And I remember Dad laughing at it, but they were very much into that, where then she would escape from it and got huge applause. But Dad worked her in with all the shows that he could. He really they both loved working together. They really did.
That's really great.
It does, the Magi Fest.
We've got the other side over here set up for Halloween right now. And Ambiance did a fantastic job of making this. So we've got your little life size that you can get your picture with. That's a first, managed to do.
That's the first we get to see that too tonight. Wow, that Natalie, that's great.
Yeah, it turned out really, really good. We were very excited to see that. So I hope people get to take some great pictures with him.
Oh yes.
So,
fantastic.
And then we've got a thank you to you guys for sharing this magic with everybody. With all of these materials and images came from Herman's magic room or scrapbook he made. He didn't know the dates, but tried to keep things chronological, including articles from when he was only 18. We're so thankful to the Carr family for loaning us these materials and letting us share the magic. So thank you guys so much for letting us use this and share it with everybody.
Our pleasure.
And then I wanted to remind the street naming ceremony, the dual street naming ceremony will be this Friday, October 29th at 10 a.m. the corner of McCright and Fountain. You guys got a tent, right? So rain or shine, it'll happen public.
Yep, we have a tent.
Sure do.
And if you want to see more, Marcia, with the help of Lauren, who I think is still on this call, helps to run a Facebook tribute page, the Herman Carr tribute page, where you can see lots more from the scrapbook. You pretty much have it set up that you can share something every day that matches up with whatever day it is. He's got so much stuff in that scrapbook. So it's really fantastic to hear more stories and see more pictures and everything. And it's a really great community there that you've built. So if you guys are interested in that, you can check that out as well. And I've got this last page is if you want to learn more about local history. And I'm wrapping up this part, but I'm going to turn off my screen so you guys can talk too, because I know there's some magicians out there that I want to hear from that are here. So I know we've gone a little bit over, but this is our, we share lots of local history on not just about this, but on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and wherever we can. To share local stories of things from the collections and new things that we get. I've got here our information about how if you want to make a donation to the Historical Society, that's the link there. You can, if you're also want to donate stuff, we take stuff. There's lots of old things, we collect communities and the county's history. So that's what we try to share through programs like this. And I should, before our next program, got a few weeks off, about a month off before the next one, but we'll be talking about the history of firefighting in Springfield and Clark County and sharing some stuff from our collection. That'll be on November 17th. So I get a little bit of a break from doing programs.
Hey, Natalie, just real quick before you turn it over and open that up, I do want to say Well, Marcy, Mark, and I, and my mom, I mean, we want to say thank you to you, Casey, and your entire team. You guys have been fantastic to work with. Never couldn't make it any easier than you've made it for us, but we really appreciate all that you've done, and everyone. You talk about a great group of folks. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And I mean, we're happy to do it. And I was excited. We were all excited for the opportunity. And I wanted to say that I had always run across pictures of Herman in our archives. And over the years, I had run across pictures, and I had earmarked him as, hey, I'll talk about this guy for one of our Who, What, Where Is It Wednesdays things, where we have people guess things. And I had thrown it into a folder. And then back in 2015, I was like, oh, I'll write up something about him. So I pulled our folders that we had, where we had some stuff about him. And I'm so used to working with stuff that's much older and further removed from the present that it didn't even dawn on me to check to see if he was still around until I posted the answer. And well, I posted the picture. Everyone recognized him. And then I posted the answer, and everyone said, you know, he's still around and he's still doing magic. And I kicked myself that I didn't reach out to you guys then in 2015 to meet him, because the more that I've learned about him and everything, I'm sad that I missed that opportunity, that I could have met this historic person and you know, because he seemed really amazing. So I'm glad. And when you reached out to us earlier this year about doing an exhibit, I was really excited for the opportunity, because I knew from any time he was ever mentioned online that he was beloved. And I thought, well, that would be really fun to do. So I'm glad that you guys gave us that opportunity to do that.
Thanks.
Right.
So I want to hear from other people here too. I know, Tim, I found out you were a magician because I ran across you in the paper. So.
That was a long time ago, Natalie, then. Well, I just want to say, first of all, I am so thrilled to see, I've talked with Marcia on her Facebook page. I'm so thrilled to see Clark and Mark. It's been so long. Yeah, I lived at 1771 Woodward Avenue, just about a half a block away, and pestered your poor father for probably 6 or 7 years. If I saw his garage door open, I was down there begging to get into that locked room. And but you know, I was thinking and I was about 8 or 9 years old when I met him, and I think, when did you say you moved?
We moved in 67. I was
okay, so I would have been about 12, I guess, 12, 13 at that point. But he gave me my first Abbott's Magic catalog. He told me about Nelson's Magic Shop in Columbus. He would take me off in a corner and secretly show me how something worked, one of those boxes and cans and tubes and all of that. And you know, I did magic. I did a lot of magic till I was in my 30s, and occasionally I still do it, but I've always been interested in it. And it kind of led me to doing theater and performing. And you know, my current career with the Arts Council was because of that start. So you know, he just meant an awful lot to me. But maybe the thing that strikes me most is I would run into he and Marcia, and I hope your mom's doing well. I would love to, please tell her I said hi.
Yeah, we will.
But I would see them generally at Perkins, in a booth back at Perkins. He would call me by name. They would both chat, ask about my family. My mom, I think my mom went to high school with him, so they were about the same age. And I always respected that so much, that he was so kind to me as a kid and led me through this interest I had in magic, which led to other things in my life. And I've tried to do that myself as well. And then the fact that so many years later, he would make a point of, you know, looking up from the pancakes and saying hello and asking how I was doing. So this has been really enjoyable tonight. And again, Mark and Clark and Marcia, thank you so much for making all of this available for the Historical Society too. I haven't seen it yet. I can't wait though. I recognize those hippie hop rabbits. I recognize those immediately. So can't wait to see them.
Thank you.
Right.
Well, if there's, I say, Mark, you're also a magician. Or TG Tadini on there. I imagine you must be a magician as well. So I'm glad that you guys could join tonight too.
Great.
Mark, we can. I think I heard your sound. Can you? You're still not coming through. But you can, I say, if you want to share it, thank you for coming. If you want to share anything in the chat, you're welcome to do that. Sorry about your sound. But this magician's world, we realize, there's lots of niche worlds that we've learned about, in history and the stuff we have in our collections. And I realized that the magician world is definitely one of those other worlds that we've learned a little bit more about. But not enough that, I would never, I still always want to be amazed. I don't want to know how anything works. It's all that. So I think that, yeah, it's really great. So.
Okay.
Well, thank you guys so much. This recording will be available and the exhibit will be up. The street renaming is Friday. So we hope you guys come out and check out the exhibit, and we're glad you came tonight. So thank you guys so much.
Great.
Thank you, Natalie.
Thanks, Natalie.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Have a great night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.